Welcome to another episode. I'm really excited about what we are discussing, trusting the process. In the last episode, I spoke about the first part of the acronym. We're using process as an acronym. P is preparation, which is the proof that you have faith in the process to become what you are going for is how much preparation you put into it. Then R was relationships. That doesn't matter how talented you are, doesn't matter how great you are, relationships are going to be fundamental if you're going to get to your goals. In the story I shared about how this whole episode came about, the lady who eventually came back to me 10 plus years later to say, I now want to work with you, I trust you, and I've heard great things. She wanted to do that because somebody I had worked with, a relationship, made that connection, made that introduction. In a sense, somebody who was in my supporter group sponsored that relationship. And then you have O. O has to do with optimism. And there are many aspects to optimism. A great book to read about optimism is Learned Optimism by Martin Seligman. And one of the key things he highlights is enjoying what you're doing. It sounds very simple, but as an executive coach and a management consultant, I tell you, I work with people a lot who don't like what they're doing anymore. It could be that there are tweaks that need to happen for you to fall in love with your dream again. It's actually something I share in my book, Count the Cost. One of the ways to remain in the process is falling in love with your dream again. Going back and asking yourself, why did I start this process again? I've kind of lost my way a little bit. There was a big why that got you to say, I'm going to climb this mountain. And now you no longer see the why. Now the challenge you are going through, you are in the middle of the tunnel. You can't see the lights at the end and you just feel like there's no point anymore. Fall in love with your dream again. Find what about it you enjoy and lean in to that. And then you have C. C is courage. In this process, you need to move forward. And if you're going to move forward, the only way you can do that is by taking risk. No risk, no reward. And there are different types of risks that I covered in the last episode. Now, in this episode, we're going to finish the acronym process. And E is endurance. Endurance is so important because it gets really, really tough. I love to use athletes as an example. Even when they are preparing, when they are practicing, you can see the pain. You can see some people have injuries and they keep on going. Because if you think, for example, they have the Olympic in view, there's something about them that I have to make this happen. So endurance is critical. And the essence of endurance is waiting productively until it happens. Now, the aspect of endurance I want to zone in on in this episode is enjoying the present. I remember when I was very much in the middle and I was frustrated. Fulfillment had gone. I just kept on thinking to myself, will this ever happen? Will that ever happen? I've worked so hard and I can't see, this changing. And then I heard a quote from a lady called Joyce Meyer. And she said, in life, if you're going to get to your goal, you're going to have to enjoy where you are on the way to where you are going. Boy, that hit me like a ton of bricks because I realized that was missing from my life. I wasn't enjoying where I was on the way to where I'm going. I was keeping my enjoyment, postponing it, and permitting myself to only enjoy life until I have achieved my goal. And for high achievers, people who want to achieve greatness, guess what? Even when you achieve one milestone, you want to achieve the next. Let's say, for example, you set out a goal that you are going to get a particular company as a client. You get to that company, and because you are a high achiever, you're going to want the next company. Just like me starting out coaching MSc students. And then I began to coach MBA students. And then I began to coach executive MBA students. And a lot of my peers in that time were content with that. And I said, nope, I want to coach presidents. And so I'm going to coach executives. And I keep on going. But guess what? It's like chasing the wind. There's going to always be more. There's going to always be a goal. If you are comparing yourself to others, which is also an aspect of not enjoying where you are, you're always going to find somebody who is doing better than you, achieving bigger goals than you, making more money than you, and then you're going to be frustrated. And so, if you're going to trust the process, you need to enjoy the present, enjoy the now. You need to be content. I love a statement about contentment, and it says, contentment has nothing to do with what you have. It is a state of the heart. And you see this. You can have a professional who has worked very hard, and now they are in the C-suite, and whenever they fly, they're flying first class with the company and all that beautiful stuff. And then you have that same executive who is now frustrated and has lost their peace, their joy, their excitement. Why? Because a pair that they started with, that pair is now flying around like them, only that they are doing theirs in a private jet. Can you imagine the craziness of life? So I want to encourage you, if you're going to endure, enjoy the present. And it has to be an intentional decision. The other day, I was in a place called Canary Wharf in London. My wife and I were there with our son. And as I looked around, I was smiling. Usually, we would go to a Chinese restaurant on a day like that. And Chinese restaurant is not cheap. You have what you want, and typically it might be 200 pounds for a meal. Me and my wife and our toddler is having more or less nothing. But that day, I was just craving a burger. And as I went up, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that Burger King had opened up a store in Canary Wharf. And I went and I had the most beautiful Burger King, Whopper that I had in a long time. And guess what it cost me? My chips my chips for my son was 12 pounds. And while I was sitting down by the fountain in Canary Wharf, running after my son, I thought to myself, this is life. This fountain and this space is free for all. You could have zero money in your pocket and you could come out here and have a good time with your family. And when you get hungry, you can go and have Burger King. Some other people will go and have Royal China. Therein lies enjoying the present. Because for the person that is having Burger King, they're maximizing their time and enjoying their life. For the person that can afford Royal China, you do that. But you do not let what you don't have stop you from enjoying what you can enjoy. This is so key, which is why I'm going into a lot of detail about it, because I feel is one of the biggest elements to enjoying the process and getting to where you want to get to. And I'm going to finish with one more example. And it's myself and my wife. My wife and I have a beautiful son. But we waited 12 long years to have my son. And so what happened in that time? My wife and I made the most and we enjoyed that season of our life. That season where my wife says, Uche, you're going to New York. You know what? I'm going to come with you. We don't have to think about a son or a child or where we are going, how we're going to put him with a cousin or a sister or one person or the other. We can just up and go. And we did that. We traveled the world while it was just me and her, because we could do it in a moment's notice. What was the other thing that we did? I was able to do a complete career change, and I got to a really good place in my new career at the time my son came. And that flexibility and level of success I had meant I was able to be more present with my son. My wife was promoted to being a managing director in her company just about the time she was giving birth to our son. She was able to invest a lot in her career and make the most of that season as well. So E is endurance, and the message is enjoy now, or else you will never get to the place you're trying to get to. And then we have the first S, and that has to do with seasons. Now, when it comes to seasons, I love a quote that describes what seasons are like. And it says, "The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to the men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill." It says, "But time and chance happens to them all. For man also does not know his time." Wow. The reason I love that quote is because it makes life a level playing field. It says that time and chance is going to happen to everybody. And I'm going to use a couple of stories to make this point. The point when it comes to seasons is, will you be ready when your time comes? Everybody is going to have dry seasons. Seasons where it feels like, what is going on? You put in a lot of effort and nothing seems to be happening. You're going to have those seasons where you've prepared, you've done everything that you can, and you're going out there and trying to get opportunities and nothing is happening. And then you are going to have those harvest seasons, the seasons where you are able to reap from all the work that you have done. But those harvest seasons, you don't know when it's going to come. You don't know when the right opportunity is going to knock on your door. The question is whether you are going to be ready when that time comes. Let me give you an example. I remember, again, similar to the story I shared in the last episode, 10 plus years ago, I reached out to one organization. A friend of mine had connected me, and just over the course of 1 year, we were having conversations, we were going back and forth, and guess what? Nothing was happening. But I just, carried on, kept on working on myself and building my business where the opportunity was. A week or two after I got the email I spoke about in the last episode, where somebody I reached out to 10 years ago now reached out to me and said, "I really want to work with you." Same thing happened. This other organization reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we've been keeping up with you of what you've been doing in your space, and we think we have a great opportunity that we can partner on." Hold up. Did I hear that correctly? I thought I heard 10 plus years ago, I was knocking the door, trying hard to get anything you could give me. 10 years later, you want to partner with me as a partner on a project. I was smiling again from ear to ear. And so the chief learning officer, who at the time I reached out in the organization was just starting out, and he had now become a chief learning officer, introduced me to the head of learning. And so we had a conversation, and when they described the project, I thought to myself, this is exactly what you mean by time and chance. The profile of the person that they needed for that project was my profile. Not only in the context of my skill set, but also in the context of my background and also in the context of my heritage, the fact that I was Afro-Caribbean. And so if I was Afro-Caribbean and I had the background I had, being an investment banker, because the client was a financial services organization, but I did not have the skill set, the experience, that opportunity would have gone. And then the skill set and experience, I had an abundance of stories to share with them that I was the right person for the job. Over to you. If the opportunity that you are desperate for came knocking right now, do you have what I call CAP? Do you have the competence to prove that you are the best person, not someone that can do the job, the best person for the job? Do you have the attitude, the passion, the positivity, the personality that makes them say, yes, this person is going to be a great fit for us? Because everybody loves people with a positive attitude. And then do you have the performance? Do you have the track record? Do you have the retinue of testimonials that people can say, yes, this person has performed this way before, is performing like that now, and will be able to perform like that in the future? If you don't, my advice to you, go away, get ready, so that when the opportunity comes, you will be able to seize it. And then let's finish off with the final S. And I'm calling that spiritual practices. Now, I'm going to be very clear. I'm a Christian, proudly so. And my faith is critical to who I am and who I've become and who I am becoming. That said, there are very fundamental principles from my faith that help me be successful. One of them is prayer, conversing with God. And when I pray, a number of things happen. Number one, I get peace, I get comfort, but I also get direction in what I should do and what I shouldn't do. The truth is, a lot of the opportunities that I've been ready for, I started preparing for them 2-3 years before. I didn't know to prepare for them because I'm extra wise. It was just in a place of prayer, I got the idea, I got the inspiration that I should begin to prepare in this way or in that way. And by the time I invested the time in preparation, when I got to the time, 2 or 3 years in the future, I was ready. And I'm like, thank you, God, for directing me accordingly. And then I'll give you an example. One of the things that, praying does for me is re-envisioning me. There's a wonderful story about a man called Abraham. If you think about Israel today, they are descendants from Abraham, and that's proven. That's a historical fact that there was a man, Abraham, and from him came the Jews and Israel as we know it today. Why am I sharing this story with you? This was a man who God had promised and said to him that you are going to have a child, and the child is going to be great, and from that child is going to become a great nation, Israel. Abraham at the time was over 90 years old. His wife was well past the age of childbearing, almost 90 at the time, and so it was an impossibility. And so Abraham goes to God and says, what are you going to do for me since I go childless? There's nobody to be an heir for me and to inherit all these blessings that you have given me. And God said to Abraham, if you read it in the Bible, it says to him, come out of your tent. Meaning this small place where you are clouded and discouraged, come out of it. It's a fundamental principle in life, in trusting the process. Come out of that small place, come out of that dark place, come out to a spacious place where you can see the light and where you can change your perspective. And that's what God did for Abraham. He came out and God said to him, look to the sky. And when he looked to the sky, he saw all the stars. And in the stars, God said to him, can you number the stars? And Abraham said, no. And he said, so shall your descendants be. Wow. When you're going to trust the process, you need to have the right perspective. You need to have the right picture of your future. You need to have the right idea of the mighty things that you can do, right? Abraham was looking for one child, and God was saying, forget one. I want to give you children and descendants as numerable or innumerable as the stars. And Abraham believed God. Israel today is a proof of that belief. And so, like Abraham, my spiritual practice is praying, studying the Word of God, fasting. All those things have a key role to helping me staying strong and faithful and confident that this dream of mine is going to come to pass. One final thing I will add that applies to all of us. is this. When you think of your track record and your walk so far and the things you've been able to achieve, then that should give us even more faith that which hasn't happened is going to happen. I'm going to pause here because I think we've been able to capture how you can trust the process and achieve your goals and become great in whatever endeavor you want to be great in. And there you have it, process as an acronym. I'm going to do a quick recap as we wrap it up for this episode. P, preparation, and enjoy the preparation. R, relationships. And don't think of relationships only for what you can get. Think of relationships more for what you can give, knowing at some point you're going to take, because indeed iron sharpens iron. O, optimism. You need to be fired up by what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and not postponing your joy for only when you achieve a goal. C is courage. You must take risks, and they are calculated risks, studied risks, and step out on faith risk. No risk, no reward. E, endurance. Enjoy now on the way to where you are going. Make the most of your current situation. Become an inverse paranoid. And what does that mean? It simply says, asking the question, what is the opportunity that exists in this for me? It can be a bad situation. What is the opportunity that exists in this for me? It can be an amazing situation. What is the opportunity that exists in this for me? I'm in the middle. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. What is the opportunity that exists in this for me? S is seasons. Seasons. You need to make the most of the season that you are in. And finally, spiritual practices. The only ones that I subscribe to and encourage you to subscribe to is my Christian faith. And prayer is critical. Fasting is critical. Studying the Word of God is key. And if you do these things and you trust the process, nothing can stop you from becoming your greatest self. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I look forward to the next one. Please comment, share it, like it, ask your questions, and until the next one, stay blessed.